My name is Dorine. I was born in Kirenga in 2000. I'm the second born child in my family, although I also have half siblings from my father's side. In total, we are a family of 14 children. I come from an ordinary family. At first, we did not face any major struggles. We had breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and my father was able to provide for our family and meet our basic needs. As a child, I did not really understand what was happening. I was too young to understand the challenges of life. But as the years went by, our situation continued to deteriorate, and eventually we found ourselves in extremely difficult circumstances. We were forced to leave the house where we had been living and seek temporary shelter in our neighborhood. I did not know whether the house had been sold or what had gone wrong, but later I came to realize that something serious had happened. My father was eventually imprisoned, where he spent more than 5 years. Something had happened at his workplace and he was arrested. That marked the beginning of a very difficult period for my family. We could no longer afford to have enough food. My siblings and I were also forced to stop going to school because there was no longer any money to pay our school fees. As a child, I was deeply influenced by the environment in which I grew up. I always wanted to speak out against injustice and stand up for people who were suffering around me. That is why my dream was to become a journalist. I also think that dream came from the fact that I was a very talkative person. Today, my life has taken a different direction, but one thing I clearly remember is that despite all the struggles I experienced, I always dreamed of having a better life. I came to New Generation when I was about 10 years old. From what I remember, I first came into contact with New Generation through a neighborhood outreach program. I was playing with my friends when some people told us about a center that helped young people. They invited us to come and they brought us to the center. When we arrived, we discovered that there were many other children there. There were also volunteers who welcomed us and helped us feel included and accepted. We played different games together, we were given good food, and most importantly, we felt loved, welcomed, and valued. They encouraged us to come back regularly. After some time, they asked us whether we were going to school. We said yes, but we explained that it was very difficult for us to continue our education. New Generation began to focus on our education. They promised us that they would support our education and help us continue our studies. At that time, I was so happy to hear that because for me, it was a great opportunity to have a better life and a brighter future. Some of the friends I met through New Generation were children who had been living on the streets. They had no safe place to sleep, but New Generation provided them with a home where they could live in safety and no longer have to survive on the streets. For me, however, my situation at home became increasingly unsafe. The house where we lived was in a very poor condition. One day, a man broke into our home while I was alone. He attempted to rape me. When my mother came home and I told her what had happened, she was deeply shocked and heartbroken. The following day, she went to the New Generation Center and told them what had happened. She asked if I could stay with the other children at the center because she was concerned about my safety. They accepted me, and from that moment, my life changed. Today, I'm very happy because I am married. I am especially grateful. When I was a little girl, sometimes I wondered whether I would ever get married after everything I have been through and all the struggles I had experienced. I did not have many good examples to look up to. I had seen my older sister enter into relationships without a legally recognized marriage, and I told myself, no, that is not the kind of life I want for myself. I wanted something different. For New Generation, my marriage was a moment of great honor and joy because I was their daughter, and now I was getting married. They had raised me, they had cared for me, they had walked with me through every stage of my life. Everyone was there, the leaders were there, and everything went so well. The celebration was full of joy, from the pre-dowry ceremony to the dowry ceremony, and finally to the wedding. Everything was beautiful. I honestly do not have enough words to express what it meant to me. New Generation is not just an organization to me. They are my family, they are my parents. When I look back at my life, the thing I am most proud of is knowing God. And the second thing I am most proud of is my encounter with New Generation.